Hey Precal babes, welcome to Precal Pandemic Learning Episode 1. As we discussed in our Zoom session, we're going to start with new content. So we're moving into Unit 9, Lesson 1. And I'm actually going to take this lesson and we're going to break it into 2 or 3 smaller chunks. I want to make these videos, kind of quick to the point. We'll have a session to talk about it, new video, so on and so forth. So we're going to take our time, but keep chugging along and hopefully learn some math along the way. Let's get into it. Hey guys, editing Ms. Pop. Realized I forgot to tell you how to download the app on your phones. So enjoy this clip that I gave to physics. Same thing. You do not need to worry about being in radian versus degree mode, so I let it ride. Sorry. Love you. Bye. Okay, so first thing, go to your app store, whatever you have on your phone, and you're just going to type in graphing calculator. And you should come up with one that either says x84 or TI-84. Honestly, it'll be the same thing. So you want this one right here, graphing calculator x84. It should work just like a regular graphing calculator. Get it. Double click to install it. Use your Face ID if you need to, whatever. But it's a free download and it should work just like a regular graphing calculator. And we will kind of learn how to use this together. But let's double check one of the first things we want to do. What kind of mode should we be in? Degree, miss. So click mode on your calculator. I'll do that one more time. Click the mode button and make sure angle it's on degree. All right. The rest of this, normal, this is all fine. Okay. So once you have that done, you can exit out and then you are able to use your phone like a graphing calculator. Okay. All right, Precal, so here we go. We are going to start on Unit 9, Lesson 1. This is that new content we discussed. We're going to do this in a couple different parts. So today we're just going to start with Part 1. Now, Unit 9 focuses exclusively on exponential and logarithmic functions. Before we get started, please make sure you've got a notebook, something to write with, and a calculator or your cell phone that you're going to use as a calculator during this time. I'd also like to highly encourage you to get that formula sheet out. If you don't have one and you need one, please make sure you send me an email and I'll make sure to get you one. So here we go. First thing we have is a do now. I know it's been a while since we've seen this, but I believe in you. Make sure you're using that formula sheet because a lot of this information's on there. I'm asking you to evaluate the series for 1 and 2. I'm asking you to find a specific term for problems 3 and 4. And then in 5 and 6, I'm asking you to find a specific term given another 2 terms in the sequence. So take a second, pause the video, try and solve these problems to the best of your abilities. And when you're ready, we'll move on and I'll show you the answers. All right, so here are the answers to that do now. If any of these gave you trouble, if there's any that you want to ask me about, please make sure that you mark them and we can talk about them in our Zoom meeting tomorrow. All right, so today we are going to worry about converting between exponential and logarithmic form. We're going to save the other 2 objectives for another video. So just converting between exponential and logarithmic form. So the first thing I want you to think about is why might we need to convert between exponential and logarithmic? So over here, we were kind of going in between that exponential and logarithmic form. Log obviously has log in it, and exponential has exponents in it. And it's kind of interesting. Exponential and logarithmic are almost like, they're like inverse operations, right? So we've got addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction undo each other. In the same way, exponential and log undo each other. So we use them to kind of float in between because sometimes logarithmic form makes more sense, sometimes exponential function makes more sense, and we need to occasionally undo these pieces to be able to solve for a problem, and that's when we would do one or the other. So let's talk about converting between. Here's like the big key that we need to remember, all right? Y equals log sub b. I say sub because this is a small b at the bottom of x. If and only if. This double F is if and only if. B to the y power equals x. So please make sure you write this down in your notes. And we're going to practice using it to convert between logarithmic form and exponential form. So this form right here is logarithmic because guess what? It's got a log in it. This one over here is exponential because it's got exponents in it, right here. So I personally always like to kind of label my b, my x, and my y pieces when I'm doing these problems. It just kind of keeps things a little bit more organized for me. So, okay, so our subscript right here is our b value. This number right here is our x value. And this number right here is our y value. I always like to remind myself if the log is on the left, log on the left, we're in alphabetical order with b, x, y. Log on the left, b, x, y. All right, so now if we're going to take this and turn it into exponential function, well, we've got b to the y equals x. And I just you need to remind yourself that like y can't stay alone, right? Y cannot stay by itself. Things need to move around a little bit. We keep our b term, put it to the y power, and say it equals x. So we're gonna get that 3 to the second power equals 9. And that makes sense, right? 3 squared equals the number 9. All right, now let's take, sorry about that. Let's take this exponential function and turn it into logarithmic. Again, it's easiest if we can kind of label our pieces before we get started. So we've got our b, we've got our y, and now this is our x. So we can rewrite this as the log, base 9, subscript 9, of 81, oh, this is really sloppy, sorry about that, equals 2. Now, I've gone back and forth. I've called the b a subscript, but it's also called a base. So b base. Generally speaking, logs are written as base 10, but occasionally we put them to another base and you just kind of need to be able to identify it, okay? So there's our answers for that. If you have any questions, please mark these up and make sure you ask me and we can answer them in our Zoom session. All right, so we've got 2 more problems. I know these look more complicated, but they really are the same process. So take a minute, pause the screen, and try these 2 problems on your own. When you're ready, come back to the video and play it and I'll show you the answers. Okay, here we go. Here's our answers for that. Notice that the sign stays the same, and notice that we keep our fractions as they are. Same thing over here. This is a fraction. We keep it as a fraction. Fraction, fraction. You are allowed to have a fraction as a log base. It's not super common in most problems, but it's perfectly fine. All right. So we're actually going to say that's it for this section of the lesson, and I've got some practice for you. So that's it for the lesson. We're going to keep it real short, sweet, and to the point today. If you look on Google Classroom, there is a practice page. It's got those 4 examples from the slideshow in it, and then like 20 other problems for you to practice. Give yourself some practice. The key is included in that practice so you can check your answers as you're going. Once you are done with that, you are free to move on and do the assessment portion. If you have any questions, you do not need to do the assessment portion. You can wait till after our Zoom session. But that's it. If you feel good and ready to go, I wish you all the best. Do great things. I look forward to seeing you all in our Zoom meeting. Love you lots. Have a great day. Bye.